Sage 100 Cloud. And you may be familiar with Sage, which is actually one of the larger ERP vendors in the marketplace. But Sage 100 Cloud in particular is focused more on small and mid-sized organizations, particularly in the manufacturing space. And they have particularly strong capabilities within food and beverage, which is why it made our top 10 list. And in addition to manufacturing and supply chain capabilities that are important to food and bev manufacturers, Sage also has fairly strong finance and accounting capabilities too. So as you think about not just your manufacturing operations, but how you tie together your entire operations, finance and accounting is another area that Sage handles very well. Just one example of one of the unique capabilities of Sage's workflows and business process capabilities is the fact that it has sort of a machine learning ability to identify errors in the transactions and in the documents within the system. So it's a great way to increase your efficiency, increase your accuracy, and only require human intervention as an exception where needed. Now, some of the downsides or the cons of Sage is, first of all, it's not a 100% cloud solution yet. And so the name Sage 100 Cloud can be a bit misleading. We find that a lot of Sage customers end up using a lot of cloud capabilities, but they still are relying on a lot of on-premise capabilities to really tie together their entire operations. And by the way, this isn't a problem that's unique just to Sage. A lot of the vendors in our top 10 list are struggling with this as they make the migration from their on-premise solutions to the cloud. Another consideration is that we've heard from a lot of our clients that it's not quite as user-friendly as some of the other systems in the marketplace. And just in our own observations of seeing Sage in action versus other systems, it's not the most user-friendly or the most intuitive system to use. And then finally, for some small and mid-sized organizations, the cost can be fairly high and it can be hard to justify the investment in the product. So those are just some of the things to consider when you look at the pros and cons of Sage 100 Cloud. Batchmaster. And if you haven't heard of Batchmaster, it's a unique product in that it's built on the SAP Business One platform. So it's sort of a customization of Business One tailored specifically for the food and beverage space. So there's really two benefits right there. One, it's built on a proven platform with SAP. So even if you haven't heard of Batchmaster, you can take comfort in knowing that it's based on a product that you probably know. And the second benefit to that is that it is focused primarily on food and beverage and process-related manufacturers. The benefit of Batchmaster 2 is that it is sort of a two-tier ERP system. In other words, it's meant to be integrated potentially with other core ERP systems. So for example, if you're using a product like Sage or Great Plains or obviously Business One on your financial side, it integrates well with those back office ERP systems. Or if you're using an accounting system like QuickBooks, it integrates well with that system. So if you've got sort of a back office or accounting or finance back office system that you want to tie your core manufacturing operations to, Batchmaster can be a great option for that. Since the product is focused on mainly smaller businesses, it's usually more affordable than other types of ERP systems in the marketplace. You're not buying a bunch of capabilities that you don't need. When you're a food or beverage manufacturer, you want to oftentimes buy the capabilities you need and not have to worry about stuff that's related to other industries, but not food and beverage. And then the other benefit is that compared to other vendors in the marketplace, we find that Sage customers rate their customer service higher than some of the other vendors in the marketplace. And that could be because they're not quite as big of a vendor, even though they do have a lot of customers throughout the world. You're just getting better customer service than you might from an SAP or one of the larger ERP vendors in the marketplace. Some of the negatives of Batchmaster include, first of all, the user interface isn't as user-friendly as some of the other vendors in the marketplace. So when you look at some of the other systems in our top 10 list, a lot of them have a cleaner user interface, a more intuitive user interface. From a technical perspective, it only interfaces with one database at a time, which can be a challenge, especially if you're operating in a best-of-breed environment or if you have a legacy environment with multiple databases. That can be difficult to integrate or to reconcile moving forward. It's also not suitable for international or highly complex organizations. So if you're a big, diversified, complex food and bev manufacturer, Batchmaster is probably not going to scale to what you need. There's other systems in our top 10 list that probably handle that better. And then finally, it's also worth noting that Batchmaster is built on that SAP Business One platform. And even though SAP is a proven company, they've been around for a long time, they have their S4HANA flagship product, which is sort of their big ERP system. Business One, I still question the viability long-term of that platform in general, just because it hasn't gained as much traction in recent years as some of the other small ERP systems. So that's something to keep in mind as well, is what is the viability of that Business One platform and how might that affect the viability of Batchmaster as a result?